Well, this video is going to be a little bit different. Today I'm going to relive my past as a tattooed teenage alien fighter from Beverly Hills. About a week ago, I got an email from someone who has a podcast called Sharks Across Hollywood, and they talk about movies and stuff, but every year apparently they do Power Rangers month. And this year they wanted to focus on some of the, we won't call them rip-offs, but copycat shows of the Power Rangers, of which Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters was one, and of which I was one of the 4 stars. So that was 25 years ago, so it's been a while, but I thought, why not? Could be fun. I already told them I probably won't remember a whole lot as far as plot lines and monsters, because they may have recently watched them, but it's not like I watch the show on a regular basis, or at all. It'll be fun to talk about. We'll see. Time to click the Zoom link. Clicking the link. This is stupid to be so nervous. Hi, I'm Jill, as you figured out.
I'm Gabe.
You're Gabe, okay.
I'm Andrew.
And you guys are rocking the beards.
Yes.
We definitely have those.
I have to ask, have you always had the beards, or are these like quarantine? Andrew, you at least had yours a long time. Like, did you go like, screw it, it's quarantine, I'm never shaving again?
I used to work at restaurants like a bunch, and I always had to shave, and I swore that when I got out of it, I would never shave, but now I kind of want to. My girlfriend won't let me shave because the kids and the dogs will not like it. I shaved once after I got my Chihuahua, and he didn't recognize me for like 2 days. He just barked.
I grew up with basically like a cowboy mountain man for a dad. So beards were always a part of my life. My ex-wife hated my beard. So for 15 years, no beard. And then after the split, I was like, you know what? Forget that. I'm wearing a beard for the rest of my life. I'm never shaving again. You have no idea how exciting this is. Like part of me wants to just play it cool and be like, oh yeah, we do this all the time. But
yeah.
You are our first, well, guest really of any kind, but especially someone who's actually in something we're discussing. So this is super cool for us.
Yep. I kept bragging. I'm like, guys, I'm nervous. She's like super famous. So.
Okay. Well. Yeah. Okay.
She was on Saved by the Bell. I told everybody, I'm like, she was on Saved by the Bell once. And
yeah, do you know that is the one show I still get residuals from? That and Weird Science. I was like, Tattoo Teens, I was on for like 40 episodes, not a dime. And Saved by the Bell, every once in a while I get like my 12-cent check. So that's kind of cool.
That's funny. I was actually going to ask about that too. So that covers that one.
Are you telling me you got nothing from my DVD set at all? I'm brokenhearted.
I know. Thank you, though. No, I got nothing from my DVD set either. That cheap one that, like, they just cram the DVDs in together. They're not even separated.
Just stacked in there, yeah.
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 I know. When I saw that they were on Amazon, somebody told me, and I was like, oh, I'm going to buy those because, one, then at least I have them, right? But I thought, does this mean I'm going to, like, start getting some money from them or something? And, of course, they're not going to just offer it. I actually called the union and I was like, so this show I was on in the 90s, there's DVDs out now. And is there any way I can revisit that contract? And like, well, that's so far back. And like before things were digital. So they had no record of the contract. So I had to provide it. And of course, I had no record of the contract because, I've moved a gazillion times and you don't think you need that. And my agent's, probably dead by now. So, I don't know. It's just, I was like, all right, it's not worth it for like the $3 I'll get, but it's kind of a bummer.
Oh, the second I saw that it existed, I'm like, I have to have that. I'm going to show the kids. And they loved it to death. And I'm like, yes, that's...
Really?
Yeah. They're 7. Yeah. They're both 7.
Well,
so.
They're the right age, yeah.
That's how old I was when it came out, so yeah.
Wow. Oh, you're such a youngster.
And then I'll bring up California Dreams, which I will. And he's like, I've never heard of that before.
Now, I was on that one too, right?
Yeah, I know. I watched that episode.
Okay. I was like some opera, like, whoa.
Yeah, I saw it. I'm like, hey, there she is. And you scream, and then you run out because you get annoyed with everybody. It was fun.
Like that. Mm-hmm.
It was good stuff. I did read a little bit of a couple interviews, and I have checked out your IMDb because I'm a fan. I can't help it. So you're a mom and a wife and a teacher and all that, but you used to be a superhero.
Yeah.
And I don't know which one of those is cooler, but for my purposes here, the superhero thing is definitely the best thing ever.
Okay. All right. I'll go with that.
Because I'm just a huge fan of that, the Tokusatsu thing in general, which is why we're doing what we're doing now, the Power Rangers month thing. But let's start with something easy. I'm really curious, especially back then, working with Deke, and I watched 1,000 Deke shows just all the time when I was a kid. Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad was the other one, and we did that one last week. What I want to know is, what was the audition process like for this? How did you figure out about this? Like, what possessed you to go, hey, that sounds like something that I need to get involved in?
Well, okay, first you have to realize that I was an actress and we just want to work. So you get an audition and you go, okay, I'll go. What's the name of that one again? Wait, I need a bigger piece of paper because that one was too small. And actually the description for my character, for Drew, they likened it to the Winona Ryder character on Heathers. So they wanted kind of that edge. And so I remember I hadn't watched that movie, so we went out probably to Blockbuster and waited in line and got our little VHS and rented Heathers. And and I was just excited because usually I would have been more likely to go out for like the peppy cheerleader kind of characters, just because that's, I'm like girl next door friendly kind of thing. That was the draw for me, to be like the edgy one. And I still don't really know why I was cast, but probably just because they got Leslie and she was a brunette and they're like, oh, all right, just go with the blonde. But yeah, so I remember, let's see, it was the 90s, so I was kind of grungy. I wore like hiking boots and this like knit kind of t-shirt dress with the flannel tied around my waist, and just kind of went in there. And I remember telling myself, don't smile so much, because that's like my natural tendency. And I thought I probably shouldn't be so friendly. So so auditioned, and then there were probably a couple callbacks, and then I just remember being surprised when I got it, because you're always like, you want the job, but you're always surprised when you actually get cast. At least I was. It'd be like, wait, really? Because you get so much rejection and so many like, it was down to you and somebody else and it wasn't you. So so it was Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills, right? So there's that excitement of like, wow, I got a job, I'm a working actress, I'm on a series. How awesome is that? But no, it's not Friends, and it's not, even Saved by the Bell, or, it's, so there was a lot of like, what's the show you're on? Wow, okay, well, great. So anyway, that was kind of the process.
It's a weird little show, because Power Rangers was a big thing, and they're just like, we're gonna try that over here.
We like to sometimes go, well, I think we're better than Power Rangers, because our storylines like talk about the characters, and we didn't get along, and I think there's some validity to that, but I think we also kind of made stuff up to be like, no, we're still good, we're still fine. But anyway, it was a while before we sort of saw the full thing, so all we saw was the normal people stuff. So, well, other than Nimbar's cave, but we saw like the coffee shop and like Drew's house and school and the cave, but we never actually saw the fight scenes, because that was filmed on a different set. So so you don't, and then of course you don't see all those amazing special effects until afterwards, and so you don't really have an idea of like what the cohesive whole is going to be until you're already in it. And like, we all knew we weren't filming Shakespeare, but it's not like you're gonna hang your head in shame and go, oh my god, I did that. We're just like, hey, it's a job, let's keep going.
You're getting paid, and at least you're having fun.
We were, it was super fun, and it was it was nice people. Like the creators were super nice. We called them the two Jims, Jim Fisher and Jim Stahl. And the directors were all, I mean, everybody was nice. And the four of us got along well.
Did you see the entire script, or did you just see the segments of the script that related directly to like the scenes you were in? I mean, I guess there was dialogue and stuff that you needed to voice over for some of those action sequences. So you saw the whole script, right?
Yeah. We saw the whole script. So like we knew what was going on, you know, as much as you can. And I probably knew more than I like. You know, now I'm like, what monster was what? I don't know. I haven't seen it in so long. But I'm sure back then I was like, oh, cool. The Regulus back, or whoever the monster was of the week or the day. So yeah, we saw the whole script. We knew what was going on. And we did do those voiceover sessions where you're like, oh, watch out, you know, all that good stuff.
So that brings me to another question. Did anybody explain to you, or did the question even arise, and you may or may not remember this, of why you keep referring to the last time you fought a monster, even in the very first episode?
You know, I don't recall that we said that in the first episode, but I would probably say there's a hole in the writing, obviously, somewhere.
I was just wondering if it got addressed, because the first time I watched it, I was like, wait, last time? This is their first fight. This is the first time they've ever been in Nimbar's cave, as far as I could tell.
Do we really say that in the first episode?
I could be mistaken. I could be misremembering just because
the
it was
fourth
in the episode
is the first time I noticed it. The fourth episode, and I think that's the one with the weird with the weird garbage monster, where you talk about how it smells like Seattle.
Oh. Okay, well, there's some truth to that in parts of Seattle.
It's
okay.
Weird.
So inconsistency of the writing. What else would you like to talk about?
I was also wondering if you had any input into your character in maybe dialogue, maybe just talking to the writers and saying, well, you know, I feel like maybe Drew would do this, maybe Drew would do that. Did you have any input on that level?
Not before the scripts came out. No, and they were cranking them out. I mean, we filmed five episodes a week.
Wow.
So it wasn't like this thought-filled, you know,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, in 2 weeks, we're thinking of doing an episode like this. Like, they probably had quite a lot of them, like 20 of them written easily before we even started shooting, if not all of them. Back to that, like 5 episodes a week. So that's a lot of memorization. And so, you know, we're basically filming rehearsals, right? Because you get your script. So you do a table read on Monday of like all of the shows for the week. And then that was Monday morning. And then Monday afternoon, we do the voiceovers for the week. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, each day we'd film an episode and a quarter. So,
wow.
So just keeping track of that, and then keeping, you know, being able to, like, I'm just trying to memorize the next scene, you know? And so once in a while, you know, by the end, you pretty much know what your characters are going to say, and you can kind of flub it through. But there wasn't a lot of that I remember. I mean, I'm sure it was. I'm sure the actress that I was like, I'm thinking with this monster, she might have wanted to do this, but I can't recall anything specific, you know.
That's fair.
Or anything major, yeah.
It's been a few weeks since your last film, so I understand that.
Just a few, yeah.
So about that dialogue thing, this one's big for Gabe and I, both of us, I think. The word Hanky shows up at least once in every episode. Now, whose idea was that? You're kind of rolling your eyes. I see it. Yeah. Was that something you came up with, or did they say, you need a catchphrase, so we're going to give you this one?
I think one of the gyms that was like his, you know, from kind of his era, you know, I think that's where that came from. And so it was just a Drew thing. It was not a word I was familiar with. I just went with it. It obviously didn't catch on.
No. Now I've been watching the show so much lately that I'm just like, I'm gonna start saying this, not on purpose. It's just gonna come out of me.
Maybe you could bring it back.
I want a Hanky compilation, just of every time you said it.
Oh my gosh, that'd be awesome.
It's a super cut.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
Okay, put that out there for someone to do.
I do have to ask, since you said it was one of the Jim's things, did one of them have a background in law enforcement?
Oh, I don't think so. I think they were both like from like writers and did like Second City Chicago and that kind of stuff. Why? What brings that question?
Well, it's because the only other place I've heard the word hinky, and with some regularity, is in the writings of Michael Connelly. Are you familiar with him?
I am. I don't read his stuff, but I'm familiar with who he is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he writes a lot of detective fiction based in Los Angeles, and he uses the word hinky, and he introduces it very early on in his Harry Bosch series as being a phrase that LA detectives use to describe situations that look suspect. I
had never heard that. That's interesting.
So yeah, and so I'm like, oh, I wonder if maybe one of the writers came out of law enforcement or had a background there.
Yeah. Even so, I don't think it's still used in law enforcement that I'm aware of. My husband's in law enforcement, and the word has never come up.
Is he a hard-boiled detective though?
He's not a hard-boiled detective. So, maybe if he were, maybe that would make all the difference.
Did you have any interaction with the American Gladiators who played the Sentinel versions of you guys?
Awesome. That was my question. Thank you.
We got to meet them once. So, so we had, heard who they were, and we were like, hey, that's cool. But yeah, we got to meet them once, and it was like halfway through the shooting, and they came over late after shooting one day, and we got to meet them and interact with them a little bit, but that was literally it. That was the only time. Some of them were matched up well. I always hated that wig that they put Centaur in. It's so bad. In fact,
I was wondering how you felt about that.
Yeah.
Okay, we look nothing alike. I mean, like, the wig is different. I'm obviously more muscular. I don't know how many cup sizes I've grown when I become Centaur. And I literally, would still have some people say, wow, I didn't realize you were so buff. Or how did you learn to do that stuff? So I'm like, are you kidding me? And they were serious. And I'd have to kindly go, oh, well, that's my stunt double. But, in your head, you're going, what the heck? That's so obviously not me.
As a 7-year-old, I couldn't tell the difference.
Oh, my.
Okay. Well, and I got to remember, that's the target audience.
So did you ever get to hang out with Glenn Shaddix, who did the voice of Nimbar?
No, I did not get to hang out with him. And I was actually more excited about... who was the guy who was the voice of Lecter? He was Squiggy on Lenny and Shirley. David, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but yeah, Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley.
So I was more excited about him because I'd gone a long time ago with a friend and her mom or whatever to watch a taping of Laverne and Shirley. So I was
cool.
Oh, Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley. And I remember once, maybe a couple times actually, going to the voiceover studio to do our recordings, and he had obviously just been finishing his because he was coming down the stairs and didn't care at all who we were, but I was like, hi. That's the most I ever said to him. So.
I want to imagine that he still had the hairdo and the leather jacket. I know he didn't, but I want to imagine that that's what it was like when he's passing you in the hallway.
Well, since I don't remember, I'll just say that's exactly how it was.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I just learned that fact yesterday. I've been preparing a lot. I've watched a million YouTube videos about the show. How gross was Nimbar in real life? Because every time I watch that first episode, that hand comes out of that little blob, and it's just slimy, and he's wiping all that slimy stuff on you, and that's your tattoo. And
our faces, I think, are and that was pretty, that wasn't really acting because it was pretty gross. And it was just him. Nimbar himself was actually, he was covered with a silicone, but he was kind of hard underneath, so touching him didn't feel really like anything. But when they decided he had to have his hands, which a couple episodes, can he hand something, whatever, they get one of the PAs to come in and stick on a glove and goop up the hand, and then that was really I don't know what they used, but it was really goopy stuff. Snot. Snot in a bucket.
That slimy stuff. It always grosses me out. Even my kids are they scream just, ew, at the TV every time they see it.
Oh, well, good.
It's fun.
You know, we're getting them engaged.
Yeah, they like it a lot. They talked about it. Let's watch Tattooed Teenagers. And I'm like, what? Oh, that show, right.
I can't hear you.
All day long.
You have to say the whole title.
Well, that's what they said it. Yeah, I know. We watched like 20 episodes together, just like over the course of a few days.
I think that's more than my own children ever watched.
Have you? How much have you actually watched of the show?
I have
none, really.
You know, I thought when I got the DVD that it'd be fun to like watch the whole thing, and it's not. Even if it was great, right? Great entertainment. I think actors don't like to watch themselves. I mean, okay, I never thought the show was good, but I still thought, you know, well, for what it was, my acting was good. Yeah. So that's painful to watch. And then, and then it's just cheesy. And then if you're watching with anybody else in the room, there's just a little bit of this going on, you know? So, yeah, I mean, it was a great time in my life, and it was a working gig for an actor, and it was fun to do and fun people, but, you know, I don't need to watch all 40 episodes again.
Oh, well, man.
And here's the other problem is whenever my kids would, like, every once in a while, they'd be like, you know, somebody would find out, or they'd tell somebody, oh, yeah, my mom's on this show. And once in a blue moon, there'd be somebody who'd, like, care and be like, oh, that's cool, I want to see it. Well, my kids always felt like, well, they should watch the first episode so they understand what's going on. So, you know, after a while, you don't need to watch that first episode again. So, you know, yeah, I probably should pick a random one and just watch that. You know, those reaction videos are kind of big right now. Yeah. So I was like, you know, I should watch myself watching one of the episodes, like one that I haven't watched since I filmed it, and but it's kind of terrifying to think of because I think it would be so cringeworthy.
Well, if you do, please send us.
Yes.
Please send us a link because I want to see it. I definitely want to watch your reaction video.
Yeah, I'm not willing. I'm not sure I want to be that vulnerable.
Let me say for the record, okay. I watched 21 episodes. I wanted to watch all 40 of them before we had this interview, but I got through 21 episodes, and you are easily the best actor on the show. Like, seriously, I was watching, really analyzing during those last 10 or so. And yes, your performance is definitely a couple of steps above the rest. And not just on the show, as a lot of other Mighty Morphin Power Ranger knockoff and wannabe and spin-off and adjacent shows as well. So your heads and tails above a huge chunk of those.
It's true. I was just going to say the same thing.
You're very kind. I think you were biased because you know I was coming on here, so you were determined to like me, and I thank you so much. That's very sweet of you.
No, my goal now is to have the other three on the show, and we're gonna tell them the same thing. We're gonna say Jill was better than you.
Oh, you are. Oh well, yep. I'd like to hear that. No, I expect you to be like, yeah, we watched it, and Rug, you were better than all of them. And then we watched it. Leslie, you were better than all of them.
Now I want to do that. Now I want to do that just to have
We'll do it. Rug might be hard to get considering that he's still working and he's like in things.
I know.
He's busy. I checked out his IMDb. He's still going.
I haven't seen what he's doing lately, but a couple years ago I saw he was also doing like some kind of like helping kids get into it or training or teaching. I'm not sure what. And then Leslie, so when my girls were younger, Mary Kate and Ashley, the Olsen twins, they did like a bunch of movies and stuff. And they had one, I think it was like set in Paris or something. And she was in it. I was like, so I'm watching with my daughters going, oh my gosh, look at that. And, I was a little envious because she got to actually film in Paris, it looked like. So that was kind of cool. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, well, yeah.
And I don't know what Richard's doing.
Paris, that's actually another thing. I bought your book.
Oh, the 2-room flat in London?
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
I'm an audiobook guy. I tried to find an audio. Apparently, there's not an audiobook of it.
No, but you know what? That's one of my goals for 2021 is to record the audio book for that.
Well, if you do, again, send me a link, because I'm an audiobook guy and I want to read it. So
really, well,
I do.
That's very okay.
Yeah, and I like to read. I like the page and stuff. But yeah, so he'll do the audiobook. I got the print.
So thank you for supporting my writing. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you've done some cool things, and